Here we are going to discuss about test data and the training data, one of the most crucial part of machine learning models. Before we go further, let's understand a few terms. One is the features. You need to remember that. One is the label. This is just a simple table which has rows and columns, and this is the output of it. Right. So the output column is called as a label. You need to remember this thing, and all the inputs are called features. Think of it like a cooking. You have flour, eggs, and sugar. Those are the features. And the final dish is called chocolate cake. That is the label or the output of it. So that's all you need to remember in this slide. Now let's understand what is the training data and the test data. So you get a data, right? And you need to train the model. Out of the 100%, the 80% you used to train the model. Right. So here is a machine learning model, and you are using 80% to train the model. And 20% then you just apply again to test the model, how actually it performs. Think of it like your school time. You go to school, you study hard, and then you go for the final exam. So during the study time, that was your training data. And during the final exam, that is your test data to verify whatever you have learned. Can you apply that knowledge into the final exam? Because you haven't seen that before, right? Final exam, these questions, you haven't seen that before. So that is what the meaning of training and test data. You train the model, then you test the model. Here's the interesting part, that this is the validation part. I just understand the validation is more like regular assignments, monthly, weekly assignments or something, where you use 60% training data and then you use 20% as a validation data, which means it analyzes the model output, whatever issues are, fix it, and iterate this process. And once you are satisfied with that, then run the test data. So in just as your school time, these are the assignments. When you get lower marks, then you find the reason why it happened, and then you go back to your training data, your school curriculum, and learn those concepts again. Just the same thing, right? And then you go for the final exam. So you need to remember there's a one training data, validation data, and the test data. These are the three things here. Now the question here is, why even we need the validation data, since we are already using the test data? If something goes wrong, we can just use the test data again, right? So the reason is, maybe you have seen some students who are really intelligent, good in class, they learn everything, but when they go to the exam, they usually fail because they just remember all the data, but they don't know how to apply that knowledge to a new scenarios. This is where they fail, and we don't want that happen to the model. We don't want the model to just learn everything, and this is why we use validation data. And um, the other thing that you need to remember is two keywords. One is the tune hyperparameters. Hyperparameters. So as I said here in the validation data, whatever the problems are, you're going to fix it. Those are called tune hyperparameters. You fine tune it and then use that model again. Why? To avoid overfitting. That is also you need to remember. You train the model, use the validation data, then you fine tune the hyperparameters to avoid the overfitting, and then you test the data, test the model using test data. That is the workflow. The next comes here is data leakage. This is also one of the most critical factor, but this is wrong actually. I'm sorry, that was generated by AI, so we cannot trust, right? So So this has to be this way, not this one. So the test data or the data leakages, when students get the exam paper or the questions during the class time and then they go for the exam, obviously the results would be 100%. Right. So that is exactly what is going on here. All the test data is already leaked into the training set, which means now the output accuracy would be 100%, but we know technically it is wrong. And how we going to handle this situation is, number one is keep the training and test data separate on just day one as soon as you get the data. Number two is keep an eye on your data pipelines. So you have to make sure that it works accordingly. Let's recap this, how to build trustworthy models. Data splitting, as we already discussed, three parts: training, validation, and test data. Make sure there's no data leakage. External validation means test your data on different hospitals and the population. So it is it just makes sure that the model is not getting biased information. So you have to verify that information with the hospitals, that is that data is accurate or not, and ensure generalizability, which means let me give you an example. There was a company that they used in a hospital program called NH algorithm, and that was being trained on only one kind of patient's data. Whereas, as we know, in the hospital, you're gonna find people of all different origins, geography, age, and demographics. So this is not going to work because the model was trained on just one and being used on all others. So it was a big failure for the company. And make sure it doesn't happen. So you have to train the model on all different types of data sources and then use it. So that's all for today. And drop a comment below and tell me what topic or a question about AI testing should we cover next. That will shape our future episodes. This is Test Guardian, where we make AI reliable, ethical, and unbiased. Signing off today. In the next episode, let's learn more about supervised and unsupervised learning. Stay tuned.